Matthew. Matthew just woke up. Ready for some breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna help you. Okay, so I'm gonna answer some questions while I get Matt stuff that I received. Some from that I've always been asked, and some that I have that I received on YouTube. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask. One of the questions that I'm always asked is, what's up with Matt? What's up with you, Matt? So I did a video yesterday pretty much explaining all of that and what we've gone through in the last 32 years. 33 if you include the pregnancy. That's a big one. And of course, I talk about all of this in my book, Life with Matt, right? Talk about everything. So Matt was diagnosed when he was born with hypothyroidism. This is his CBD THC oil that he gets every morning. And I'm going to go into why he gets this in a little bit in another question. Chewable, please. And that you take with water, please. Okay. So Matt was diagnosed with hypothyroidism when he was born. Actually, it was like he was 7 days old. But he, through my whole pregnancy, there was something, I was just always sick when I was pregnant with him. So he was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, and then he had delayed learning, and he went for tests. He needed speech therapy. He needed special school, and they diagnosed him with a form of autism, Asperger's. They didn't actually give me a name for it. They just said he's on the spectrum. But as he gets older, and I don't know if that's because he is, because he goes through his seizures and all that stuff has had something to do with his brain. I don't know. I have not had him tested since he was little to find out what else is going on there, because, I mean, one day he's one person, the next day he's another person. So when he was a kid, he was diagnosed, and he was on the spectrum, but not autistic, but he was in that area, range, whatever. I don't know how they described it. I did have all the paperwork and stuff, but it got lost through moves that I did. So I do not have all of that anymore. When he was 13, he started having seizures and we have been working on that ever since. So when he has a seizure, we never know what's going to happen or what Matt we're going to end up with. Today's a pretty good Matt. Are you pretty good today? Doing okay? Yeah? Matt, are you doing okay today? Yeah. Okay. Now Matt's all fired. So when he was 13, he started having seizures, and he's had really bad reactions to the after effects, the drugs that he's been put on, anti-seizure medication, and all that stuff has had really some bad effects on him. And so, yeah, what's up with Matt? He's just Matt. Depending on what day it is, he's a different Matt. Coffee. So now that I've got Matt taken care of, now I get to drink my coffee. Okay. One of the questions was, what medication is he on? And so Matt has tried absolutely every single anti-seizure medication, to the point where when I went to his neurologist, he indicated to me that Matt was on the last anti-seizure medication that was out there, and this is it. if this doesn't work, we're screwed. There have been a couple others that have come. Well, I knew of one that was being tested when the neurologist told us that. I don't know if it's come out yet or if it's even in Canada, because Canada has different laws. And so this medication he's on is it's a huge name. So it's levetiracetam. I don't know. Anyway, this is the ones he's on. Big pills. He takes. Hi baby. That's my granddaughter. She just got up.
Hi.
Good morning. So he takes one in the morning and one in the evening. He has been on many, and if he gets like worse, then I can up it and I can lower it however it fits. Right now, that's what works. He also takes vitamins, which I found especially in the wintertime. If he takes vitamin D, it really helps. The sunlight, so we have a sun lamp in his room, that really helps. CBD oil, THC oil.
I'm going to put this on Loki's desk.
Okay. That works actually. So, yeah, vitamin D is really good in the wintertime. I did not know about that. I had to do my own research because nobody will tell you. Jaden takes her vitamin Ds.
Yep.
And he takes vitamin C, because everybody needs vitamin C. So he takes that. When he has a seizure, I have just CBD oil that he takes. So I give it to him, and it really helps him come out of it better, and helps him, I don't know, it just helps him come out of it better, and he becomes more cognitive. I do give him extra CBD, but if he's having a rough time because of the seizures and the effects, and I'll give him some more. The reason I give him both CBD and THC in the morning is because he needs the CBD because it really helps, but the THC helps him calm down. So a lot of times what happens when he has a seizure, he gets into, I don't want to say schizophrenic, but that's what it seems like sometimes. He'll get into his head and he just gets lost there. And sometimes it gets really scary. Like I said through my book, there's tons of stories about all different types of things we've been through with him. But for him, this really helps calm him down and calm his brain down so that we can tell him, remember, it's just imaginary. Remember, it's just, whatever, if he's getting really hyper about his book and then he gets all stressed out. Leads me to another question, is how does stress play a factor? So this is really good. So I noticed, so when Matt first ended up with epilepsy, we were living in a situation that was not a very great situation. We had family around us, but we didn't have all our family around us, or my family, I should say. And I was the main caretaker, which I always am. I was working full time, and I was getting. We lived in a situation that just wasn't ideal. How's that? And when you live with other people, it's really hard to do what you want to do, right? And I didn't know, really, when you're told this is what's happening, it's just really stressful. So we lived in a stressful situation, and I didn't think of it because it's just all we ever knew. And then when we started slowly, I started growing and I started learning who I really wanted to be. And I started changing my environment and changing my life. And I realized that some things affect him and some things didn't. But the more stress that he was under triggered seizures. And so he would constantly have seizures. Those first few years were nothing but seizure. It wasn't until we started de-stressing, realizing how important de-stressing was, getting him to calm down, getting him to stay calm and focus on good things. We changed the diet, then everything started to fit into place. And then the more, so you can't make someone de-stress. And if they're going to be stressed, then there isn't anything you can do about it, no matter what. So we tried forever to get Matt to stop stressing, but he kept, like, there are times that we know he's going to have more seizures. So winter is not very good. Fall, so his birthday, I can tell you right away he will have more seizures in between November and December, because there is his birthday and then there's Christmas right there. And so those months, the end of November and all the way to Christmas, will be his most amount of seizures, because he just stresses about it. If we let him stress over making his book or making his movies, or not seeing somebody, or like if we just allow him to, sometimes in videos you'll see me, okay, but this is how, and that's why, is because if he stresses, that's what's going to happen. And we need to keep him as calm and as happy as possible, because it's a big important. So that's how, yes, over focusing. And oh yeah, and being sad. So even being overly sad, if we allow him to stay on that road, sadness is stress, right? Yes, it's important to go through sad stuff. It really is. But if you're over focusing on it, then, and for him, that's what really happens is, if he's missing somebody, if he's, sad about something, then, then you have to have a balance for him. I have to have a balance for everybody, but definitely for Matt, to keep him calm and not stress too much, because stress is not good. Okay. Can he hear during a seizure? This is a good one. I don't have any scientific proof whether, because when he has a seizure, we talk to him. And I don't know where I came up with that. It just happened one day. He was having a seizure, and I was in my own thought process. And I mean, it's scary to watch your son go, or anybody to go through it, but definitely your own child. And when he was going through it, I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to talk to him. And so I started talking to him instead of feeling sorry for myself and, I just want to help him. So I just started talking to him, and and I think it helps. If it doesn't help him, if he can't hear, then it definitely helps me, right? So for me, I think he can hear. I think if people in comas, and they've proven that, can hear, then I'm sure that he can hear when we're talking to him and telling him to come back. I just feel it. I feel that he can hear us. So it's good to keep it going. I keep talking to him while he's going through a seizure, right? Yes, Matt takes cannabis, and I think I explained that. Yeah, he does take cannabis, and it has helped a lot. He didn't always take cannabis. I mean, 13 when he was diagnosed, and back then cannabis wasn't a lot in the way it is today, and it's researched more and more and more about healing and about all that stuff, which I always thought it was a healing property, but I didn't know where. And of course, once CBD started coming out more and more, then it became bigger to healing, and then more came out, but it was still illegal. So I'm up until he was in his 20s, and then we started doing it illegal anyways, because it still wasn't legal. But we found different places to go buy his oil and start working through it. And once we saw how good it was, there's no doctors that could give me a referral for it. The neurologist wouldn't, because they didn't even like the fact I had him on a diet. So yes, he is on cannabis, and I explained how it helps. How are we coping with COVID? Well, we're doing the best we can. We're still, like I mentioned in another video and in our live that we did. If you're not hooked up with us on Facebook, then I'll leave a link below, and you can come check out Matt's page, Life with Matt. And I will, we're going to do more lives. I actually just started yesterday, and we'll do more and more. That was quite fun. We did about an hour live with him. It was quite fun. But we're staying home most of the time. We're home all the time. Every once in a while we go out for a walk, but it's on like a school day so that everybody's at work, and then we find like the least amount of people, and then we go for a walk. We don't want to go anywhere where there's tons of people. Matt has to wear a mask. Matt is not safe if he's high risk. So trying to stay as safe as we can through this, and as soon as the vaccines come available for him, we will definitely be getting them. I'm not a big believer in medicine. Well, I am a big believer in medicine, just not pharmaceutical medicine. I believe there's other ways to help heal. So I've always been looking for things, but when it comes to something like this that I really don't know enough about, my son's life is more important than my own belief system. So I will do everything I can. Just like when he was born and I was told he needed to have this thyroid medication, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have this thought process of, I have no control over this. I want my son to be alive for a long time, and I need to do this. And when I found out he didn't have a thyroid gland, well, he has it, but it doesn't work. It doesn't function at all. So he would need medication. So that's had to change my mind. So I do my research. I've done my research on the vaccines. I've done my research on COVID. And I know that for a fact that this would not be a good thing for Matt. So yes, we are going to get the COVID vaccine. I would rather have him here than to have to go through a whole bunch of other crap that he doesn't need to go through. Does healing energy work? Yes, I believe it does. I'm a big believer in healing energy. And I've never been trained to do healing energy. I just have always done it. And for my own headaches and for my own body, sometimes I forget because I get wrapped up in the whole human aspect of it. We're all here to become humans, right? I believe a lot of different things, but for Matt, when I lay with him and I give him my energy, you have to really focus yourself on what energy you're giving out, because you don't want to give the negative stuff, right? So when you're healing, you have to make sure that you are love, pure, unconditional love, and you give that energy to them. And I believe it works. I'm a big believer in you can heal yourself, and I believe that we can heal. It's just a matter of whether or not that's like in Matt's situation, Matt's case. A lot of times he does believe it, but then he gets stuck in there, right? So it's hard sometimes to get that belief to stay, but I can only control what I do and what I believe in. So I do believe it helps, and that's why, like, when I'm with him, I work on being like the most loving that I can be. I don't always get there. I'm a mom, I'm a person, I'm a human, I'm a woman. I still have my days where it's hard to get to being pure unconditional love, but I'm working on it. I'm doing the best I can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I did the medication thing. All right. I think that was it, because I talked about the medication and I talked about his seizures. Matt has had seizures since he was 13. He had, I talked last time about the difficulties with the medication, a little bit this time, but not so much. The difficulties with the medication, so he's been on every medication possible. They either stopped working. He was on 2 medications at one time. They either stopped working or he has a bad reaction to them. That is Rose, who thinks I need to be paying attention to her. Ooh, sorry. That's Rose. She is being a butthead. She said, that girl said she's saying hello. But all medication, right? So we have had him on every pharmaceutical medication that there is out there, and he's had bad reactions, real bad reactions. He's had some where he's had 2 at a time, and he's had some really rough times, and so we had to try other things. Doctors weren't willing to try other things, so I had to go it alone, and I wanted to go on the keto diet, which is a big thing right now, except back then it wasn't. The actual keto diet back then was not low carb, and the way they have the keto diet now is it's all low carb, but that's not what it was. What the keto diet was you measure oils and you measure everything, and you measure so that it's not just low carb. It's you only have so much low carb, and then you have more oils than food, right? Well, not really, but you have a lot of more oil, different types of oils. And so you needed back then, which was when he was 13, and he's 32 now, so almost 20 years ago, so 19 years ago, you needed to go to a hospital to learn how to do it. So it was not a low carb diet, which is today when you hear about keto, that's what they talk about, is low carb, and it's under 20 grams of carbs a day. That's low carb. It's not keto. I don't know who changed it. I don't know who decided that that was a keto diet. That's not what the ketogenic diet was 19 years ago. So I don't know who revamped it, but so when I talk about the keto diet, that's why I couldn't do it. I did do the low carb, which is what the keto diet is called now. Just somebody changed it from what it actually was to what it is now. So low carb, we went on a low carb diet, and that helped him from having multiple different types of seizures to having just grand mals once in a while. And so the low carb really, really worked for him. And then we started the gluten-free and tried that. So he has a combo. He has like a gluten-free diet right now. And he really likes that one because he can eat way more. But we really had to get all that junk out of him, and then he still has, especially in the wintertime, he has more seizures, like I said, so, and different types of seizures. But we're doing the best we can to keep him going, and, right? He's standing here listening to me. Do you eat your breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah? Was it good? What kind of breakfast did you have? Cereal and milk? Was Rose being noisy? Yeah.
Doesn't seem like that.
She was. She's like, hey, why are you talking to him? I'm right here. Look, I'm pretty. She's so smart that she's noisy. She's bossy. Are you bossy? Are you bossy?
Grab my belly.
Are you bossy?
My belly's right there.
They all heard you. Rose is 3. Almost. She's 2.5. But anyways, so we just do the best we can. And if you have any more questions, then feel free. I will answer some questions on our live that I will do next. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll ask Matt some questions. I'll get some questions to ask Matt, and we can ask some of them to Matt and see what he has to say. Make an amazing day, everybody. And take care of yourself.